Hello guys and welcome back to Shaun's Japanese course. Yes, and in this video we're going to talk about the past tense or the ta form. So, the past tense. So what is the past tense? Well, basically it's just stating that an action happened in the past, right? That the action is over. So I ate instead of eating, right? So for ru verbs, it's as simple as the knife form, right? You just replace the ru with ta. Okay, this is why it's called the ta form, right? So how that actually looks is that we have taberu, tabeta, ate, miru as in look or see, mita as in I saw, deru, to go out, to exit, deta, deta, I went out, right? Iru, to exist for living things, ita as in, it existed, right? So yeah, it's as simple as that, right? For u verbs, however, it is a little bit more complicated. Okay, however, even though it looks a bit more complicated, it's not actually all that much, okay? So don't worry too much about it, okay? So, how that actually looks for u verbs? Okay, so for u verbs, I mentioned that we have these 9 different endings, right? That an u verb can have, right? Ku, gu, su, tsunu, bu, muru, u. Or kugu, su, tsunu, bu, muru, u, right? And based on those settings, we actually have 4 groups, right? So, how that actually looks is that ku becomes ita and gu becomes ida, right? So, the ku, which is not voiced, becomes ita, and gu, which is voiced, becomes ida. Okay, so the ta just gets voiced, right? So it's no big deal, right? Now, su, on the other hand, becomes shita, right? So the second group is su. And of course, third group, we have nu, bu, and mu, and those just become nda, right? And of course, last but not least, the fourth group, we have tsuru and u, and those become, well, this small tsu and ta, right? So there's that pause and then ta. Okay, so how that actually looks in examples, right? Because this is probably very confusing for you, is kaku as in to write, kaita as in I wrote, right? Oyogu as in to swim, oyoida, right? So as I've said, ku, which is not voiced, becomes ita, and gu, which is voiced, becomes ida. Okay, so, kaku, kaita, oyogu, oyoida, right? Hanasu, as in to speak, right? Hanashita. Okay, so su becomes shita, right? So hanasu, hanashita. Okay, now, the next group, right, is asobu, as in bu, right? So bu becomes nda. So asobu, asonda, right? Okay, so asobu, asonda. And of course, from the same group, we have yomu, as in to read, and yonda, right, as in I read, right? And of course, now of course, in the final group, we have this matsu, as in to wait, and we have mata, right? Mata, mata, okay? Mata, okay? It's not a single word, right? Hairu, as in to go in, right? Haita, right? Haita. And iru, ita. So, matsu, mata. Okay, so mata. Okay, it's not a same word, because if you say mata, it means crotch. Okay, so don't actually, don't confuse these two. Okay, so it's mata, right? Mata. Okay, hairu. Haita, okay, haita, okay, there's that pause, right? And iru, ita, again, there's that pause, okay? So yeah, that's basically how it looks, right, for all of the 4 groups. Now, as I said, you never want to blindly memorize things, right? So instead of just, blindly memorizing these 4 groups, right? All you really have to do is memorize that these groups exist, right? And that, that ku and gu basically conjugate in the same way, that su conjugates, as su, that nu, bu, and mu conjugate in the same way, and that tsuru and u conjugate in the same way. And once you, get that, right, just take one of these verbs from these examples and just remember that, right? And every time you think about, how do you conjugate that particular verb, you just remember that the verb from the same group conjugates like this, right? So you just remember something like kaku and hanasu and asobu and hairu, and that's basically it, right? You don't have to memorize anything else, right? So yeah, So that's basically how it goes for verbs, right? And yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. However, once you get used to it, it's actually very simple, right? It's still as simple and as easy as the I form. It's just a little bit more complex, right? Because we have these little groupings of these verbs, right? However, there are still exceptions, right? And of course, the exceptions are kuru and suru, the two irregular verbs. However, for this particular conjugation, right, we also have this iku, as in to go, right, as an exception as well. So, how that actually looks, right, is that kuru becomes kita, as in went, suru becomes shita, as in, did, and iku becomes itta. Itta. Okay, there's that pause, right? Now, why is iku here, right? Well, think about it, right? Since it ends in ku, right? The ending for it would be itta, right? So iku would become iita, right? It wouldn't be. You just wouldn't be able to pronounce that well, right? So instead of going iita, you just say itta, right? Itta. There's that pause, right? So yeah. That's basically the reason, right? But really, there's, it's just an exception here, right? Under normal circumstances, it's just a normal verb, okay? So yeah, so that's basically it as far as the past tense goes. I know it's a little bit more complex than the I form. However, it's still, once you get used to it, it's still really simple and easy, okay? You don't really have to worry too much about it, okay? And so now that we know the present form, right, the plain form, we know the negative form, right, so we can say that we did something or that we didn't do something, that we are doing something, that we are not doing something, and we know how to say that we did something. We also want to say that we did not do something, right, in the past. And that is actually going to be the topic of the next video. And I hope I'll see you in that one. Bye.